T1 versus PSG.LGD. Game 3.
Welcome to the last draft of the first series of the day. My name, as always, Plus, joined by Fogged, joined by Lacoste. And while we're analyzing the draft, sometimes it doesn't tell the full story. So, Lacoste, tell me, what went so well for T1 last game?
I mean, I gotta focus on Carl. His Doom was completely popping off in that previous game, managing to stay on the top of the network chart with the hand of Midas, understanding of the timings, what needs to be done. He was like just moves, and we can see in this one, like, no doubt about it, as we expected, hitting hand in the first phase because he was causing so much issues.
They made nothing to say look weak, which is one of the rarest times I think I'll ever say that, because he is a pretty flawless player. He doesn't really make mistakes at all, and they just kept finding him out of position with both Carl and Cuckoo. It was phenomenal, really, from T1, and yeah, you can see the adjustments already made for PSG.LGD. We see Magnus now moving in priority up to #1. ET takes a little bit of a step back, and T1 is still going for a very strong scaling draft with these two heroes as an opener, but also still active, very good at just catching and all about like this mispositioning too, which I feel like was big in the last game. These skewers just bringing people out of spots. Now both teams have one. We have a glimpse, and we have skewer plus horn toss and all that fun.
And they just picked IO into Disruptor. Usually it's the other way around. Disruptor has been historically a counter to IO. And as you mentioned, ET plus Disruptor, these two heroes are always going to be... You're going to be feeling good having those heroes no matter what stage of the game we're talking about. Having a strong laners and also ability to scale. But to go back to the previous game a bit, the big boy Philly, this is the item, the neutral item that people tend to hold for the longest duration of time, as we've seen Zephyr holding it, I believe, in this game for more than 20 minutes. I believe average time is around 13, compared to some, like, average time is 8 minutes holding the neutral item. So big boy Philly on the top.
So I like to ask, because if the IO is not good against the Disruptor, right, it must be because there's some synergy or something you're looking for in your own draft. So what are the strengths of the IO Magnus as a starting combo here, Fogged?
You got the double buff up for your carry. You got a lot of heal, sustain that's going to be coming in, and gives you, I mean, global potential is always something that you have to factor in. Sure, there's glimpse, but we saw last game like how much the global was a threat. Zephyr was like one of the top networks in the game as a Dawnbreaker support, just because he could play on opposite side, he could always respond to these moves and then still show up to fights. So I think IO is a great example of being able to open up the map for yourself while also being able to, like, hey, Almay, you can't beat the fight? Yes, you can. We're going to bring you in there. So
does this add to LGD's response to T1's aggressive playstyle that we saw last game?
Yeah.
Lacoste.
Yeah, I think so, definitely. Looking at the bans right now, Enchantress, not your usual ban, but this is something that needs to be done if you want to set up Elder Titan for a really good laning stage, because Spirit is dispellable, unfortunately.
Yes, and I think if you pick like Disruptor ET, you've already shown that that's like 90% chance of 4 ET. And what is 4 ET like? Not like playing against Enchantress. If it's a 5 ET, I feel like you can't actually go for that kind of dispel thing, but we saw Secret do exactly that, right? They baited Saksa into playing the ET in the OG series, and Puppy just snap picks Enchantress versus it, lanes it against it. He actually was lucky because he was versus Monkey King as well, so he had double dispels and all that fun. He had really strong lane for it, but yeah, when you see that it's gonna be a 4 position.
There's even a secondary dispel for the Disruptor Shard in case they go for that. So if they want to actually buff up their carry, you have that little extra...
There's one more hero left in the pool that has a built-in Dispel Oracle. I don't think you want to get IO Oracle. It just seems extremely weak, especially compared with the Magnus. If your offlaner has a lower cooldown stun, I think that's doable, but at this point, I just don't think they're going to go for it. Queen of Pain banned out by PSG.LGD. I've seen so many games where Virtus Pro bans out Queen of Pain, and it screams, we want to pick Storm Spirit. Like, this is the hero that we want to get. Queen of Pain was banned out in the previous game, so that means, maybe they screamed a bit more against the T1, and this is a comfort hero for Carl as well. And also, whenever you have IO, that means you have a limited lockdown, Magnus, RP. You kind of don't want to commit, so PSG.LGD will need to protect their lineup against these elusive heroes, Puck possibly, and any Spirit in general.
Yeah, I was thinking Storm or Ember Spirit, likely for nothing to say, just covering his lane, because I see the Bat ban as well too, so they want to have this like really advantageous lane for him. And it's always really good versus hero like Disruptor, because you get glimpsed, you throw the Remnant down, you come back in the fight anyway, so lots of different ways to get into the backline as well, versus these two heroes that are two of the better backline heroes, right? The ET and Disruptor want to play very far from the fight, and the Spirits get right on top of you.
Right, and since we have some extra time as well, and you talk about these two heroes, I'd like to get into something interesting, the idea of draft theory, right? So, as a more generic sense, what advantages and disadvantages does picking two supports have for a draft? Like, if there's two starting picks, or your 4 and your 5, of course you can flex the ET. What does that do for your draft here, Fogged?
Just open. It saves your carry picks, like protects them from being counterpicked early on, especially now that we have the double picks that come out from, in PSG.LGD's position, because now they're going to be able to pick one hero on T1, then PSG.LGD gets to pick 2, but now they're only going to have information of 1 core instead of potentially 2 if they'd opened up with 2 of them. So, I mean, there's a lot of different implications now at the draft order that ends up making. I feel like double support is actually better than it used to be.
Really? Why so?
Just because of that exact thing, where you can actually only have 1 core shown in the first 3 when you're picking the 4, and then you get this. Yeah. You get a situation when you get to. You reveal your. It's hard to describe because like you can reveal your mid, but then you get to save your carry for the last pick in a lot of situations because you get this pick and then into double bans and you can cover and you get to see their carry. So it's kind of weird like describing it. Not really.
And it's also a support duo that scales well when we're talking about ET maxing out the aura, getting 1 item, Disruptor, possibly getting that Aghanim Scepter if he finds the Philly that I mentioned. Whenever I see Philosopher's Stone for the first hero that really scales well with it as a position 4/5 is the Disruptor, because it's one of the best Aghanim Scepters upgrade in the game.
And for the Mag IO, let's talk about this one, because that's different draft order, right? You actually get the 4th pick, you protect it with the bans. Does this condition you into being able to pick something more combo-y, something more special, like, for example, the IO?
Yeah, probably. You can. These picks are just very open-ended, so you can kind of do quite a lot. I mean, on both sides, like you've saved so much.
Mm-hmm. And what's the strength? Should you pick, or can you pick 2 supports with these 2 starting picks, or is that too weak if you have the 1st and the 4th pick of the draft? Going really in depth here.
It's really deep, maybe a bit too deep for me. Fogg, help me out here.
Maybe a bit too deep. No, I mean you can.
Right. I see the Magnus, right? I see these combos, and I always look at teams and go either the oftentimes carry or counterable hero in the 4th pick, right?
Yes.
Or sometimes this, like you said, the buffing combos, right? This opens up your draft so much that IO Magnus, a lot of carries become much more viable, and it's very difficult to try to counter this with. In fact, you can even protect your future carry with these next 3 bans, which they can more or less guess based on the heroes you picked out.
Yep.
Yeah.
There I am.
So let's keep going. What can we? Let's theorycraft. We have time because the game is paused.
We have a pause, right?
Yeah, exactly. So let's theorycraft a bit. What could we be seeing? What is a carry that goes well with Magnus and IO, and what could T1 be expecting for this pick here?
I usually like a BKB core because you're going to be playing into natural order. BKB versus Static Storm is always going to be really effective until if they do find an Aghanims, which pretty much requires a Philosopher's Stone in most situations for that Disruptor, since it's very likely to be that 5 position because ET's picked also. So
you still
BKB
don't
core.
know what you're going to be playing into because, as we mentioned, T1 really camouflaged their draft really well, opening up with the position 4 and 5. Maybe something with the built-in BKB. A jog. You still don't know the matchup, but we still have a lot of time as well to theorycraft about what could it possibly be.
So when you don't know the core to core, what are some carries that come to mind that are pretty solid no matter the matchup, or have a wide array of good matchups?
Juggernaut, I think, for me, is the most standard Dota 2 hero where you don't know what to pick no matter the bracket. It feels like, it's still a Juggernaut, and these 2 supports don't have any kind of escape mechanism against them. So it should be like a free kill. You have a Blade Fury that you can get out of ET stomps if it's necessary, so you're going to get stunned. And just feels the spell mechanic as well, the healing that synergizes well with the IO.
What about the other carry with an inbuilt BKB, the Lifestealer? Do you think that one is also solid?
You need to see the matchup. You can't just pick that hero blindly.
Yeah, it is always going to be good versus like ET and Disruptor in stages of the game, but that hero's been a bit underwhelming for me.
Why do you think so?
I just think he just takes too long. He really just takes such a long time to farm compared to a lot of these carries that just have natural built-in mechanics of like steroids. We have Medusa with Split Shot. We have Terrorblade with Conjure Image. We have, Morphling just being able to farm pretty much anything at any point in the game. So.
And we're back with the draft, guys.
And we are. And we're going to have that Bane ban, so that's a BKB piercing disable that they're taking out.
Yeah, it's also a great setup for a possible skewer back, the relocate type of a plays, and we've seen Bane being a bit more popular during the main event compared to the group stage. BKB piercing ability, you do not need to get the full duration grip. Sometimes a second and a half is exactly what you need. PSG.LGD. Okay, I
so
like
they're going
this.
to take it. So that's a backline hero to get on top of IO. That's always nice. Mixed damage carry with ET. And if it is going to be, that's also the thing where we were talking about earlier, where it's like forcing the Magnus out of a position. Storm Spirit is one of those heroes that it's not the worst matchups. Magnus still does pretty okay, but Storm thrives versus melee heroes, period. So, and I saw a couple times where even nothing to say. I think it was versus Elephant. He got solo killed by Maybe, who was the Storm Spirit. It was Maybe who, Somnus, who popped off, is getting solo kills in the group stages, but that's a matchup that you can.
I believe T1 didn't mean to pick Storm Spirit in this game. That's the feeling that I get. It's just they used this Queen of Pain ban that PSG.LGD did, and they also banned out Lina. Lina, one of the heroes that doesn't have bad matchups, I would say. I don't think anyone wins against Lina. No matter what happens, she's still going to farm, and she's one of the, I'm going to say better, but decent against Storm Spirit. She's not going to come out even, I believe. And yeah, so Storm Spirit, as you mentioned, the backline jumper, they have no low cooldown stuns. Puck is still available if they want to try to counter Storm Spirit, the leash mechanic, even though with the recent changes, the Storm Spirit item build, going for Kaya Sanj so that the coil and the silence does not last as long. That's one way to deal with that.
What could LGD be thinking then now? You already talked about how they're maybe moving the Magnus from position, but they actually really like it and nothing to say as well.
They do, because he likes playing like he transitions most of the times too. But they've been having it a lot of time with Faith Beyond as well, so they don't mind moving it. I don't think they even that's probably not even like, oh, okay, we can't put Mag May. They're probably like, whatever, ignore that.
Just go for the
they're
best
just
draft.
like, we need to have disables now.
There's the Lion.
So they're gonna take the Lion.
And then they pick up their carry as well, so the Mag
pace
remains a flex pick then.
Yep. And that's a pace hero, so they can set tempo. They can play a lot faster this time around. I feel like last time, this Terrorblade picked, we mentioned at the end how they picked it into Lion, so I feel like they did pick it in a bit of a tough position for him to actually just straight up carry the game on his own. This one, just much faster paced. He's not actually countered by much of anything. You're good versus ET. You're a natural BKB buyer as well.
Oh, a Spectre. What do you think of this core-to-core matchup, Lacoste, between Spectre and Ursa?
I like Ursa here quite a lot. Ursa comes online quickly. I think it's more of a backline jump thing, so that Storm Spirit has another hero to play with. So Io and Lion will have a bit of an issue, especially Io. He's going to be the primary target that they jump. Looking at PSG.LGD, they are Radiant this time around, and they also have Ursa lineup. So once you decide to do the swap Reno, the trade, you're going to lose your tier 1 tower, your carry goes to tier 1 tower on a top lane, and then you can always threaten the Roshan, because Ursa plays the top part of the map, while Dire, they need to stay close, they need to be checking, and Ursa is the best Rosh taking hero in the game.
Is this a hero that you guys would consider good with the two buffers they have on Mag and Iron?
Oh yeah, that just seems perfect.
Absolutely. It allows him to. We saw even multiple different games where I've seen more Aghanims now on these Ursas just so they can get their.
OG, I believe, did that.
Yeah, Sumail did it. He was versus a lot of disables. This one he's versus a static storm. I don't think we'll see that. I think BKB it's going to be Diffusal, BKB, Blink Dagger, something like that, Basher, etc. It's going to look to be super active very early on.
What could be the last picks that we'll be seeing? So for LGD is still open. For T1, we're probably looking for an off-laner here.
Yeah. I'm surprised, again, though, I see the Lion picked, which was excellent, versus the Storm, and then they picked the Spectre versus. I actually like Lion versus Spectre in most games. As soon as you hit, 20 minutes, there's a team fight happens, just mana drain, you take out 3 illusions inside of a big haunt, also inside of mid-game, too, being able to take it out. It's really strong, really effective, so I feel like both teams kind of, were oh, let's just make the Lion a little bit better somehow. Yeah. As we saw PSG.LGD take the Terrorblade last time versus it, and now T1 take the Spectre versus it.
I would love to see some kind of tower damage coming out from PSG.LGD. There's still Beastmaster available, or they can go for the Dragonite, have a bit more stun control against the Storm Spirit, which could be flex, and they could put it on a mid lane. It's still Storm Spirit favored matchup, but then you have this flexibility to see where Magnus or Dragonite are going to go.
Also, BKB carrier, who also
and someone who benefits from the Empower. That's what I want to see.
And we see the bans, right? It's Nature's Prophet and and both teams are well, we're both lacking push, so.
That's true. Well, I can touch on the Lion a bit earlier again. Do you think the Spectre, as you said, is about jumping the backlines? There's an idea that you can overwhelm the Lion, perhaps, that you can't deal with both Storm and Spectre at the same time, and they see the value of him as a counter to the Storm with a Hex? Yeah,
definitely. I mean, that could be another thing, too. And Spirit's always really good to scout, too, so they'll always know where he is in the fights, even if Haunt isn't up. So, maybe if you double down, right, it makes it a lot harder. And We did end up getting the Ember, so that was the other one that we were kind of mentioning for nothing to say.
Yeah, now looking at the bans, it makes a lot of sense because Necro just completely dominates Ember Spirit in the lane. You can play on his high ground. And Ursa, one of the heroes that loves to play on low HP. One Reaper side could change quite a lot. There is a save from IO potentially, but yeah, now looking at the bans from PSG.LGD, they make quite a lot of sense.
And Jenkins' fact of the day from this morning also, right? He said the Heartstopper aura goes through in Rage. There you go, Jenkins. I'll give you that one.
Oh, useful.
So, but yeah, there was those bans are definitely looking to make a lot of sense from PSG.LGD with the way they set it up. And maybe they were thinking about that Ember for quite a long time, but waiting for it till the end.
How's the matchup between Storm and Ember though in the mid lane?
Oh, Storm Spirit just completely dominates,
okay.
I would say. I've seen it like go both ways depending, but it's very skilled matchup. Still, I'd give 60, maybe even 65 to 35 for Ember.
I've heard in the game though, Ember does do better because his Searing Chains can stop Storm.
Yeah,
It's purely laning stage, 7-8 minutes. Storm Spirit just has an upper hand.
Right.
Well, we could see rotations early, though. That's what I see a lot of teams with IO do. They make the move early to mid lane, like pre-6, so that they can look to perhaps set up a kill and also look on the runes. So maybe we could see PSG.LGD look to set up like something like that. T1, what is the Cuckoo hero?
What do you lane against the Ursa? That's always a tough one. Do you prioritize the lane here or the game?
I was thinking about something like a Legion Commander, but then it's not that great of a counter. Ursa is not so strong, level 1, level 2, level 3 against certain melee heroes. So we'll see. Okay, that
was the lane.
I think the reason I was saying lane is because they already have late game and mid game secured with like Spectre, Storm, ET. They have so much team fight. I wanted something that just makes sure they don't get run over, because I think that's what the potential of IO Ursa gives. So, and this is a really good solution versus Ursa.
This is perfect, pretty much. You ruin Ursa's game, and you're also Spirit Vessel carrier. This is your primarily item against IO. So you kind of have 2 flies killed by one hit, pretty much. I love the Venomancer pick. I'm leaning towards T1 here.
Yeah?
I'm just seeing a bit of limited disable without like heavy commitment for the Ember Spirit. So I feel like Ursa now is addressed because of this Venomancer, but I'm worried about the Ember Spirit going crazy because I only see like one way to actually catch him, and it's Static Storm right now. Stomp is very difficult. If Storm has a good timing and a good game, he could get an Orchid. So I'm going to be looking at Carl, looking at the mid lane, looking at how good these lanes actually will go for T1 to see how they're going to be able to handle this Ember Spirit, because I do think that Ursa is maybe just, you know, now you're scared of Ursa. We saw Nisha the other day also too. It was, hey, we're also scared of this carry. Boom, Nisha goes crazy as Ember, and I think this hero can't do that.
Well, I'm the host, so I can't lean any way, but I really want to know what BSJ has to say for his last word.
Thank you, Avo. As this game is called Defense of the Ancients, I think this specific game should be called Defense of the Roshan, as it is the paramount objective for LGD to be taking this game, as the panel did highlight. But I want to emphasize what T1 did in order to address this exact thing, and that is the vision game that they have from long range. They have the Venomancer wards to scout, the Spectral Dagger from the Spectre in order to scout, the ET Spirit, as well as the Kinetic Field from Disruptor. They have so many ways of gaining information in order to get that initiation on LGD when they try to force their objectives, that if they can manage to keep the distance, manage to take the fights on their own terms, T1 will have no problem taking this game. However, they have Ember and the Ursa empowered by the mag to get up in their faces, low cooldown, run at you, Dota. If LGD can take that first Roshan, snowball it into a second one, they should have no problem taking this game. Winner of this game secures top 6 and another $800,000 in the international, and I'm going to let you guys take it away, Sunsfan and Synderen.
Thank you, BSJ. We have game number 3, LGD versus T1. You just heard BSJ break it down, Synderen. I mean, pretty much everything he said was correct. T1, a lot of vision, a lot of ways to contest Roche, but LGD are the ones that can actually kill Roche really quickly. So I think that's going to be a very important factor in this game. But what are your thoughts on these lineups? We get to see, you called the Venomancer. I'm going to give you credit. You said it, and it came true.
Yeah, it is a really good Venomancer game for a time, at least. And I think what T1 needed here was a way to slow down the Ursa IO lane from just getting too far ahead. We've seen empowered Ursa in a secret series earlier and some during the groups. My concern outside of that, I think T1's laning stage should be really good. I think their lanes are very nice. Like the Veno ET lane is very strong bottom against Ursa +1.
Yep.
They're even starting as 3 right now, leaving Savage alone up top, 23 Savage on the Spectre. This is not going to be how they keep their lanes, of course. I want to know what T1 do when BKBs come out, because I don't think they're going to dominate the lanes and the game hard enough that PSG.LGD don't get there. And that's my problem with the Dire lineup right now. They have nothing against BKB. They're actually going to have to kite for the full duration. Nobody kills during it. All you have is a little bit of right click from Storm and Spectre, unless your Elder Titan somehow finds the most amazing Astral Spirit in the fight. So I think, as far as, you know, the metagame between these two teams with how they play overall in terms of tempo, how late they want the games to go, I do like LGD's prospects after 20 minutes. So I think the challenge for T1 here is to get far enough ahead that they can handle that stage of the game.
So all about the BKB timings for PSG.LGD. And yeah, you're right. We've seen that Empower Ursa kind of just snowball. That's the one thing that Ursa kind of struggles with is farm, and when you can give him Empower. I mean, there's even a time where Ursa, no first blood this time. As Zephyr is going to get skewered back into the tier. Oh, no! So first blood technically goes the way of T1. A little bit of miscommunication, but
a little gift.
Oh, you don't see that every day.
That's funny. I'll say it. That's funny. So Zephyr getting first blood, he gets full Tranquil boots off of this on his Elder Titan. It's going to make his way down toward the bottom lane. Y doesn't get anything except a long, slow walk up to top. Faith Beyond, I think, got about half the gold of that kill, roughly. Is eyeing up a Helm of the Dominator. Cuckoo bottom.
Yeah, in a bit of trouble here. Gonna get right click a couple more times. The Echo Stomp comes through, but Ame looks to be just fine. Although Zephyr, that's a lot of damage. He's gonna try to Earth Shock to safety, and you can see just ticking away slightly thanks to Cuckoo. Very, very annoying hero to deal with, as has been his trajectory in Dota history. Action, of course, some changes made to him recently. Poison Nova doing percentage-based damage, so technically scales better than he used to. I mean, how much of a difference has that made from the games that you've seen from Veno in this patch?
It's one of those things that's hard to see, right? Because the damage is so slow. It's like, it's not really noticeable until you look at the post-game and compare it to like similar games historically. I don't remember the exact numbers, but for the most part, especially when you reach the mid-late portions of the game, even against agility heroes, the new Poison Nova is better than the old one, but it's primarily tanky heroes that suffer a lot more. And there aren't that many specifically high health heroes in LGD. I think the Venomancer is more about the vision and the lane power that it would bring, the reason they picked it this game. Unfortunately for Cuckoo, he's not really pressuring the Io Ursa that much just yet, but level 3 is a big turning point for Veno usually. Get a lot more damage on that Poison Sting. A skill that has a very special scaling, actually. I find it very unique the way it scales in 3 aspects like this: duration, DPS, and slow with every skill point. So effectively, you know, most skills in Dota scale in a linear fashion.
Yep.
This is very different. It gets so much better on level 3 and 5 for the Venomancer, obviously level 2 and 3 on the skill, compared to level 1. So for comparison, level 1 is 36 damage, level 2 is over 100, and level 3 is 250.
Why don't we go through every skill in the game? You can read the tooltips.
Sure.
Which are available.
All right. Going to the menu. First hero of Adam. Missed coin.
You guys can't see, but he actually opened up the Heroes tab. You can see everybody's really happy either with the pause being unpaused now or Cinderin stop talking. Not sure. We'll have to find out another time on this segment of Cinderin +1. Or -1, depending on your perspective again. White, Thunder Strike from Whitemon. Looks like Carl's going to secure the Water Rune for himself. Already queuing up the Orchid, which obviously no big surprise. Pretty much the standard. As you can see, Zephyr preventing Nothing to Say from getting the second Water Rune, so Carl gets a double whammy this time around.
Yeah.
And look at the CS, 26 and 7 to the 22 and 4. Talked, I mean, the draft panel kind of discussed that matchup overall. Do you think that, I mean, Ember seems to be doing pretty decent, all things considered.
It's I would say it's a slightly Storm-favored lane overall. Not by a lot. What Ember's going to do is exactly what Nothing to Say is doing here. Oh, why? Actually gets the spike.
He actually runs right back into it. Hex to follow. TP is going to be canceled because that is a super easy kill for LGD.
Kill. Yeah, so what Ember does in this lane is we're going to see a glimpse. I think Faith Beyond will be okay here.
I've never heard that before. Okay, you might be right. They're out of mana, and surely he can't die.
You're right. It was very close. He only had 310 health left, Suns fan. That was very close.
Is very tanky.
The crowd goes wild.
I mean, he's
sick escape.
He's part rhino. I'm pretty sure that's the lore. So very thick skin, very thick boy.
So what I was gonna say was Ember against Storm in mid. What Ember will generally do is he will max out Sleight of Fist. And try to harass the Storm back that way. The problem with going max Flame Guard is that you can still get it broken too easily by Storm's Overload and Static Remnant charges, and at that point, you have stifled your ability to go and gank other lanes by maxing Flame Guard over Sleight, which is clearly the stronger offensive build in most situations. So I do like to see this build coming out from Nothing to Say, and yeah, that kill from Lion helps a lot. As far as T1 goes, they're still doing great on CS, both top and mid, but bottom,
Echo Stomp's
Cuckoo.
not going to connect. Ame gets a couple right clicks off on Cuckoo, which is always scary when you're a big bad bear. It's top lane. Oh, why? Looks like he's going to try to deny himself, but 23 Savage with, the Arcana kill streak. Good to see.
Very good.
They're making progress on that. Probably has like 1,000 more games to go before unlocking it.
Very good news for T1 here that 23 Savage is top net worth on Spectre. This hero is crazy when it is ahead. I want to say, just as a gut feeling, maybe one of the highest win rate carries of all time when it's top net worth at like minute 20. It's just crazy how well Spectre scales in a lot of games.
Well, to be fair, it did used to farm really poorly. Yeah. So if it was top net worth at that point, then that's a little different story than nowadays.
It's still a lot worse than most carries at farming, though, right? Like it's still slower. The Falcon Blade build-up and the better dagger.
Jump in from Storm, but it looks like Cuckoo wants to play as well. Trying to turn this around on the bear. Beautiful impale from Y, but results in the same ending, which is Ame Dunzo.
That's a lot of damage!
Gets destroyed as well. Double kill for Nothing to Say. It's going to be a back and forth action as 23 Savage pops the wand. As Nothing to Say still has the Flame Guard applied, and another beautiful Sleight of Fist as a triple kill for Nothing to Say. Looked really bad for LGD.
Yeah, that was a great
Nothing to Say, great
Play.
rotation.
T1 with a very, very good one there, but damn, that Spirit Bomb from Nothing to Say. Triple Remnant, I think that was, into 4 heroes. Double damage rune and Sleight. Ooh. It's just not fair, you know? Why do you have to have a double damage too?
He's just better.
Raidmon.
And Shockwave is up. Doesn't have a ton of mana afterwards, though. So we'll just throw it out for good measure, as Ame has now made his way to the top lane.
This is going to give Nothing to Say a lot of value. Obviously, getting those 3 kills, he's now 4-0. He's going to grab himself Phase Boots as well as Orb of Venom. Going to finish Orb of Corrosion soon, as they're trying to get him this bottom rune, which could get a little dicey.
Yeah.
It's top.
And it is top indeed. It's an illusion, so mostly just for filling up the bottle purposes. Not a ton of kill potential.
Carl should still be careful. Like, this hurts. If he gets caught in a stun chain and there's a little bit of damage coming out from Nothing to Say in addition to just a Sleight, he can still die from 2/3 to just the Lion Ember here. He's going to respect it and go jungle.
As you see, 23 Savage in the jungle, farming to his heart's content. So Aghanim Scepter will be the choice after the Falcon Blade. That seems to be the standard. We talked about this before, but before this tournament, we saw some Echo Saber. Like there's some differences between builds. We see some Orchid as well, but for the most part, we're seeing this same one that this game will have again. But the Aghanim Scepter just seems to be super strong with that 30-second cooldown, single target haunt Cinderin, aka Shadow Step, whatever you want to call it.
I do want to point out an interesting detail here from LGD, as we are seeing the mid push, but Jinkyu has a really early level 6. He was level 6 minute 8 on the IO, and he was playing bottom lane alone against the creep wave, while Ame was alone top against the creep wave. So these two heroes were not playing together, and they were just still managing to maximize, finding farm in both lanes at the same time. And now this mid tower, uncontested. Really surprised that T1 didn't try to do something here with their Elder Titan and maybe Veno defending, but they just willingly give up the biggest tower in the early game.
Well, let's talk about Veno. I mean, Cuckoo Oh, we're going to see the Earth Spike come out first. Relocate on the way with nothing to say. RP from Faith Beyond. Down goes Spectre. Big kill for LGDs. Carl looks to be at least trying to clean up the residual damage here. So it ends up being a trade of supports after the fact, with a big kill, obviously, on the Spectre for 23 Savage.
And they relocate back to mid, and they're going to find more. Maybe Carl.
Yeah, he gets caught with the Searing Chains. He's completely surrounded. Not a ton of mana to work with. Cannot get to the low ground. Shockwave and completely surrounded. But Echo Stomp is there. Nice dodge from nothing to say. Another kill goes his way, Cinderin. This is quite possibly the best start that I've seen him have this tournament. This is God tier status right now.
Yeah, he's had enough of playing DP. Now it's time to go.
It's like, all right, we gave you I mean, do you know if the DP, the one that they lost against Secret, was that the only other time they picked DP?
I don't know if it was Nothing to Say playing it or Faith Beyond. I actually don't remember, but I know they played it in that game. I don't know if it was the only other DP game they've had.
Gotcha.
He's popping off in this game, that's for sure. Cuckoo is next.
Find Cuckoo, and the finger of death from Y. LGD clicking on all cylinders in this game.
This is looking scary if you're a T1 fan, just because of how insanely fast a game like this can go with an Ember having this kind of a start. You know, it's not just Ember, he's playing with IO.
Yeah.
So you get that extra mana funnel all the time. It might not seem like much to get the attack speed from Overcharge, but all of it just adds up, right? It just compounds over time.
We have a Haunt with a Static Storm. This is going to be a big kill for T1. And they find Ame.
Nothing to Say has arrived. He's too late.
Ame has had a pretty good game up until this point. Talk about it in just a moment to see if more action comes here as Zephyr, Nothing to Say, has the Empower. There's the Searing Chains. Trying to dodge the Echo Stomp, but will not be able to. Zephyr with the TP out. So, all right, forget about this last kill for a second here, Cinderin. Cuckoo, Venomass, you talked about one of the big reasons. I know it's not the only reason, but one of the big reasons you pick it in this game is because Ursa has a hard time against it. Yeah. They just switched lanes, and Ame has had a really good game in terms of farming, all things considered. Was this worth the Veno pick, or is there still more to come that we should look for?
I think this is already concerning. They would have probably liked it to go better than this, but the Veno against Ursa is just a lot different when there's an IO, I think. It's just you have so much more regen coming through.
Yeah.
So that extra bit of move speed and overall mobility in lane really helps. Oh, Nothing to Say. He might just kill Whitemon here, honestly.
The glimpse, but the Remnant is out, stuck inside the kinetic field, but does not matter. Nothing to Say, completely dominating. 7-0, and this is going to open up space for Ame to get inside the Roche Pit. Has the Morbid Mask, going for the Diffusal Blade. And this should be a freebie. 12.5-minute Roche. Depending on how long this game goes, Cinderin, we might see 10 Roches. Can we get to double digits? Ever.
That was a very random comment. I don't know what to say to that. Why are you suddenly thinking of 10 Roches?
I don't know. I get really excited by Roche. I feel like he's underappreciated by the masses. His lore is very interesting.
All right, you get 10 seconds. Design a new drop from Roche after Refresher Shard and Ags.
Bloodthorn.
That's not a new design. You're just putting an item on it.
Well, that's what's already being put. All right, Refresher droppings.
Okay, what does that do?
It's like a worse version of a shard.
Why would the 5th one get that?
But then if you get all 3, Ags, Shard, and Ag Shard dropping, it becomes Exodia.
Okay.
Which is like a Mega Ags.
Okay.
A Gaben level spell, if you will.
You cannot complain about any of my suggestions ever again.
Great. Spirit Vessel on Cuckoo.
I can't do worse than. I actually can't come up with anything worse. So.
That's what we thought about the Aghanim Scepter on Lycan. But Slax is a genius. So Cuckoo has a Spirit Vessel Cinderin, but like you said, I mean, he doesn't have any charges. That's definitely an issue. Hasn't really been participating in a ton of fights right now.
This bottom tower looks to fall.
Oh. Carl might be in some trouble. Do they have the damage? Absolutely. With the Finger of Death and the nice setup continuing to happen with Nothing to Say's chains.
Again, Carl's voice line usage is just not, like, you just got burst. Why do you love it? I think...
I'm pretty sure he just randoms whatever voice line.
Yeah, he uses whatever. Yeah, of course. It's just funny that there seems to be an emerging pattern of Carl's voice lines just not necessarily fitting the situation. I guess that's a good way of keeping morale high, you know, laughing at your own misery a little bit.
Yeah.
That one fits a lot better.
Yeah, that's
a
little better. Yeah. He had to search for. He probably just binded that now, just to make sure he could use it.
Did you say binded?
Bind it.
Oh. I was just like, do I have to lecture you about verb inflection once again now.
All right, defusal picked up by Ame. I'm just going to ignore. That's an old school one, actually. You're going to ignore your insult again.
Yep.
Nothing to
As
say.
You never learn from it.
Just creating so much pressure for T1.
It's going to be a smoke move here, I think.
This would be if they could find nothing to say right now. This would be pretty big because he's getting close to finishing BKB.
See why, but
yeah, the Plague Ward's giving that vision. Spectral Dagger comes out.
Nice little detail with the perch creep, by the way. Will be very helpful against Venno.
Yep, that's true.
Have the little Satyr Banisher is going to follow them around here, being controlled by Faith Beyond, or well, whoever he has shared control with, of course.
2.5 minutes with the Aegis. I mean, what is LGD, what's their timeline here? This is a lineup that wants to finish earlier, I would assume. They don't want Spectre to get ultra late game?
It depends. Like, if you have this strong map control and you keep pushing all the lanes and you find kills frequently, I don't think your lineup is severely worse late game. You have 2 melee cores that use Empower, BKB piercing stun from the Magnus.
Yeah.
Lion is always going to be a late game wildcard hero because of how strong disables just are. And IO, one of the best late game supports too. So I'm not really too I don't think LGD should be too concerned with it. On paper, Storm Spectre look amazing. Venno often falls off kind of at some stages, and unfortunately for Cuckoo, he hasn't really ever had a massive impact in the game yet.
Well, yeah, it just hasn't been any fights yet, which, to be fair, that hasn't really been an actual team fight. It's been kind of this scattered, I mean, nothing to say, just all over the map, essentially, with the IO support.
Yeah, and he has the BKB Orb of Corrosion, right? So you can really tell that LGD have an understanding here of what is the one problem we have is if we get caught by spells. Yep. So a lot of the times Embers in this position will not go for the straight BKB, but get like a Maelstrom or another build-up item. But it feels like he has enough damage with just the Empower and the Orb of Corrosion, and with this BKB, he's honestly invincible. If he gets it off, he's never dying while that's running to this lineup. So kind of enter God mode there.
And with this Aegis, I mean, I'm guessing there's no pressure from LGD to try to use this Aegis in any specific way. Just continue with map control, try to get some objectives, but you don't have to go ham, so to speak. Of course, Spectre is getting close to Ags here. You think they're going to try to do something with this 40-second timer?
Maybe if they find a fight bottom and the relocate here, they could consider diving tier 1, but I don't think tier 1 is even going to give them a fight for that tier 1 tower. I think it's just going to concede it here. They know that they're in a very disadvantageous position right now. And once Aegis is out, you have a little bit more of a clear plan, I think, for how to fight. White Bond, going to get caught stop.
Yep, White gets off the Earth Spike, and Ame doing the... although Jin Q takes it. All right.
They still have relocate on him. Okay.
Yeah, pops a BKB. TP's coming as well. Cuckoo gets off a Gale, not really going to hit anything. But I mean, that's actually pretty big. They force out that big BKB charge for nothing to say.
That was a great disengage from T1. They get the BKB, they back off. They also got the relocate, and the Aegis also expired there. So nicely done. Kind of weaving around the fight. But at the same time, also a little bit concerning that you have this lineup and you feel like you can't fight, right?
Yeah.
You really want to fight with these heroes. Oh, 21 Savage. Boy. He's being eyed up by Y.
Yep, there's the Earth Spike to start things out. Ame on the way. And just going to burst him down. Finger of Death gets the finishing blow.
Didn't even get a chance to cast the dagger. He just died in the stun hex combo. Ursa has so much damage.
Yeah, LGD on the same page again. And I think more than any other team in this tournament, it just feels like they make so little mistakes that...
And so few.
So few mistakes. The fact that a non-first English language person is correcting me really makes this sad.
First English language person, yes.
Oh, God.
It is I.
End me, simply.
Yes, you
I don't
were
remember
saying.
what I was saying anymore. What the hell is it? Oh, they don't make many mistakes.
True.
So the opposing teams haven't really found much of an avenue to try to take advantage of something like that. It just feels like they're, I don't know. I don't want to say invincible because obviously they lost game 2, but even with that massive, massive disadvantage they had in terms of net worth, they still made it a game.
Yeah.
Which is really surprising.
Yeah, there's going to be a nice
Carl jumps in, all right.
Faith Beyond.
There's the Aghanim Scepter being used for 23 Savage. So still has Haunt online.
And they instantly smoke again. I actually think Faith Beyond saw that. I don't think the vision had faded just yet when they blew that smoke. So this means PSG.LGD have the information, and they can make a very clear call about where the where the smoke is meant to hit, right? There's not like, there's one option. So they're already positioning themselves very well. You can see they're just standing still on both Lion and Ember, covering the angles, waiting for T1 to try their luck, but T1 seems like don't really fancy that smoke too much after all. Kind of just not going to do anything with it, except did they even place any vision with it? I don't think so. So kind of ultimately just a full-on wasted smoke of deceit there, unfortunately. Aside from the fact that, well, LGD were standing still for a little bit as well. So yeah, you traded off looking at each other.
The good thing about that kill, though, is T1, they finally have some Spirit Vessel charges, Cinder, and so something to use against
That's true.
The Jin-Q Io, who he does have a mech. We'll see if he gets something to try to dispel. I mean, he could go Greaves, I guess, to try to dispel the Spirit Vessel charge. Not sure if that's even in the
more than likely going
right
Lotus,
now.
I think, if he wants that. It's probably
what happened to
value.
Greaves? We're not seeing that nearly as much these days.
Yeah.
Can't remember what the nerf was now. Putting you on the spot, Cinder.
What are Greaves?
That's true. All right, Faith Beyond Company smoked up. You can see Ame has just picked up his BKB. As speaking of that, Nothing to Say pops his second charge. So another good bait from T1. All right.
Get it.
Yep, no skewer this time. And we are at the 21-minute mark, so Shard can be picked up for anybody in the game. And we obviously saw the impact of that, even though they ended up losing from Faith Beyond with that Magnus.
And even though this move from PSG.LGD doesn't really get them any kills, they get control, right? They bully the enemy team out of this outpost area. They start setting up for Roche control, which is going to spawn right now. Why we'll see that. And I think, okay, this is a really crucial moment for T1. This has to work. If they lose the second Roche with no contention, they're not in a good position at all.
Yep. And that shard, almost certainly, if they get it, will go to Ame. One of the best shards in the game for sure.
Very, very good.
This is the beauty of having a Venomancer. You get that vision with the Plague Wards in the pit. And obviously, Elder Titan we talked about last game. So this won't be a freebie for LGD. But Roche is getting relatively low. Just waiting for the right time to pounce. Haunt still, literally every spell is online. So it's all about the timing and execution here. The Haunt. Nope, that was the Shadow Step.
Nice job from Zephyr there. He actually, and from Cuckoo, they distracted Ame so long that the Fury
and there's the RP! Can they burst him in time? Why? Trying to layer absolutely again. Buyback is available for Karl, though.
Yeah, it doesn't matter that the Fury Swipe stacks fall off if you kill the enemy mid.
Yeah.
You can just go again.
Yeah, continuing to try to dodge these really annoying Echo Stomps. Will they force the buyback, or will this just be given up? Looks like they're just giving this up. So second Roche the way of LGD, and Ame with the shard, which he's not actually putting in his inventory yet. There we go.
Maybe they want to give it to Ember?
No, this one's way too good. This is
very,
top 5 shard
good
in the game.
It is.
Every time he overpower or Earth Shocks, he will get an enrage for a second and a half.
Yeah, I remember when the shard came out, you rated this the absolute best, I think.
Well, it was 2 seconds or more. I can't remember.
Was it 2 seconds?
It was better before, yeah.
That's crazy. I think the cooldown of Earthshock might have also been lower then.
Yeah, they nerfed that aspect as well.
Okay.
So there have been some slight nerfs, of course, but still extremely strong. I mean, just being able to preserve your ult, because so many times we see Enrage popped, and then everybody backs away and tries to kite Ursa, whereas you have more options now.
It's kind of... I'm looking at the scoreline right now, right?
Wait for it, Cinderman. Static Storm after the Yules. All right. Looks like they're going to try. Well, actually use the Shadow Step, but Whitemon gets out in time, just barely. So they force out a ton of TPs for LGD. Nicely done from T1, baiting that.
Yep.
Of course, it did cost Static Storm.
Pretty big rotation.
Sure, all is well.
Isn't it weird for you to see Ursa so far ahead on the net worth with 0 kills? I feel like that's such an uncharacteristic Ursa game nowadays.
And power time, I guess.
And power and just the overall, you know, they got Roches, they got towers. I was like, I wonder what his KDA is. He's 0, 2, and 4. Ame's just been farming a crazy amount because of the map control they've gained, but the kills, more or less all of them going on Nothing to Say.
Also, I picked up Fey Grenade. That's actually not too bad. It gives them the extra movement speed, and obviously any additional procs of your passive is going to be very nice to have, especially at range for a melee here that can get kited so easily.
Carl is setting up top, but his play doesn't really exist. He can't solo the Ursa. He's just going to leave.
Yeah, and this lead is just continuing to balloon. So 8K now for LGD. You can see their win probability at 73% currently. But T1, I mean, they have options. We talked about the high ground defense of Elder Titan. Spectre is obviously god tier late game. Same with Stormstreet. The only question mark really in my mind is Veno, because we just haven't seen a ton of this hero in this patch. Is Faith Beyond? Shadow Step was there, but...
And let's keep in mind, we saw a game of IG versus Spirit with what Spectre Storm can do when they're doing well. If you do equalize this game somehow, there are so many ways of finding kills with these two heroes together. Once the Spectre gets the Aghanims, which he obviously has, but they're just unfortunately too far behind to really take initiative right now.
Yeah, Whitemon spotted out. Easy kill. Glimpse doesn't even break the tether. As LGD getting whatever they want. So still 3 tier 2 towers existing in each respective lane, so they're going to have to get through those. And in terms of their tower push is not good for LGD. That is one saving grace for the team. When you talk about high ground defense, plus the fact that you don't have a real tower hitter, per se.
Yeah, it is going to take a little bit long. They will get a siege creep in here now, though. If they have Glyph, they could keep it alive. They don't.
Cuckoo, nothing to say, catches him. You can see Io relocating. Ame wants a kill, and he'll not get it. Nothing to say, taking that one. Although Ame did find one earlier, Synderen, so finally getting rid of that goose egg.
Goose egg?
Goose egg, yes.
Ah. Huh. I haven't heard it called that much, I think.
I am a boomer.
Yeah. No doubt about that.
Let's have some TPs top. 23 Savage. A lot of mobility for him, and will be a difficult kill. Just popping the Shadow Step constantly. It's only a 30-second cooldown, of course. Why? Glimmer. Oh my god, if he finds
Savage here.
Oh, he glimpsed it for a second. Oh, the horsey. Not enough. Not fast enough. But he does force out Haunt, which is a huge deal.
That's true. That was not the Shadow Step that time.
He used the Shadow Step just to kind of harass and be annoying. But yeah, I'm sure he's regretting that one.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
And now with Haunt down, well, I was going to say LGD is going to try to force something, but Aegis is running out now. And, I mean, even with that second Aegis, they haven't gotten a tier 2 yet. But still, not the end of the world, because they're just farming the entire map, and the lead is continuing to grow.
Yep.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Need to clean up these pesky Plague Wards that Cuckoo's going to keep placing. Like his itemization, by the way. I think the Halberd Force Staff is very good this game.
Yep.
You want that against Ursa. You need a repositioning tool, and you need the disarm. So...
Oh, see the jumping. Carl pops the BKB just to ensure a kill, but it's only Y for now. Trying to force out the BKB from nothing to say, but he's not going to get baited this time. 2 times is enough for him. And now that the Aegis is gone, we'll see if T1 want to try to force something, especially with the advantage in the 5v4 right now. But like you said, Cuckoo, I mean, his farm is pretty decent. I mean, Venos do get relatively farmed. Has the Force Staff in addition to everything else.
Glimpse.
Thank you. Glimpse.
Just felt like saying it. I heard the sound.
Yep.
What did he actually glimpse?
He glimpsed Magnus. Oh, all right. Orchid onto nothing to say. Do they have the damage to bring him down? Nope. That's the BKB charge again. Continuing on. No mana at all for Carl. He's going to be brought down in quick succession. And it looks like Elder Titan is next on the list. LGD showing their prowess right now. And nothing to say, just continuing to destroy everybody in his wake. Cuckoo will be the 3rd death in this engagement. LGD winning this game in spades, Synderen, not remotely close right now.
T1 just ultimately, they run out of patience. They just really want to try something, so they go on the Ember, but that's not enough in the tank. And again,
23 Savage. Faith Beyond's going to run into him. There's the Yule setup. Has the RP if he needs it. Manta's pop, but here comes Ame with the right clicks. Into the horn toss. Down he goes, not even needing RP. Look at the ultimates on the top. They all have them, other than Io.
Good.
Which
Thank you for correcting yourself.
Technically correct.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you for specifying that.
Thank you, Synderen. I just want to make you proud one day.
Yeah. You're definitely improving right now.
Thank you.
Didn't take much, but... That's good.
Just not screwing up is an improvement as they, LGD, finally get a tier 2 tower. And we can see that next Roche, we won't know for another minute when it will spawn. And Faith Beyond still ready to go with the RP. Has Nothing to Say is 9-0-6. Has the Aghanim Scepter, obviously the BKB. And I believe that's a refresher that he's working on.
Yeah, he's close
next.
to that one too. His just raw burst against any hero that isn't BKB'd, he can...
Oh, horn toss for Faith Beyond. Whitemon is dead.
No, he was Yuled. Now he's dead.
He's dead. Is this a technically correct joke again? Oh, the bash! Oh, he's actually going to get him! Ave just beating the absolute crap out of Carl. Bash proc for the win as Cuckoo getting caught by Nothing to Say, and this is turning into a rout. You can see the haunt coming through, but it's not really going to happen, Cinderin. Venomancer is going to end up being cleaned up here. Actually, haunt was not used. Where were those illusions from? Was that the Manta? I have no idea.
I think he shadow stepped in Manta and left.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
either way, this is whew.
We believe we have a DPC term for a game like this.
Shellacking?
Say the thing.
Gaben level shellacking?
Thank you.
Okay.
See, you impressed me.
You know,
you knew what I meant.
There's 3 levels to the Gaben level shellacking. Did you know that?
Oh, there's more levels.
There's
than that.
just regular Gaben shellacking. Then there's Gaben's mustache shellacking. And then the top of the top is Gaben top hat shellacking.
Top hat?
Yes. I think the OG EG, the OG Secret
qualifies.
Game was definitely a Gaben top hat shellacking.
Top hat.
Yeah.
I want that as an emote so bad now all of a sudden, Gabe, wearing a top hat.
I'm patenting that one, by the way.
Can we please have that? Thank you.
I'm patenting or copywriting Gaben's name for my for myself.
I think you'll get away with it.
He seems like an easygoing guy. Yeah. Satanic now online for Ame. Already seeing the basher come to where that was literally a kill because of a bash.
Yep.
Into the Roche pit they go. That's going to be a refresher shard Roche, which that will almost certainly go to Faith Beyond. Although you could have the double refresher for Nothing to Say.
Double, not hungry. All right,
and down he goes. He actually pops the BKB. Huh. I guess he didn't want the haunt in to steal all the goodies. Makes sense.
RP.
Oh, I hear the RP. This is for 23 Savage. Into the right clicks we go. Into the grave, 23 Savage goes.
All right, I have a bit of a trivia here, Shannon.
Okay.
Let's see how much closely you've been paying attention. When was the last thing something good happened for T1 in this game? Is it A, 10 minutes ago, B, 15 minutes ago, C, 20 minutes ago, or D, 25 minutes ago?
I'm gonna say 10.
Okay, I am checking. The last dot on the... It's about 10 minutes ago.
Thank God.
They killed Lion.
Good
call.
Thank you. Call. Yeah, this is a rough one for T1.
Absolutely annihilated.
But keep in mind, this is not the tournament line on, not the tournament life on the line.
True.
If T1 were to lose this, they will face up against Alliance, and LGD will continue on to play. I believe it's the winner of Vici versus VP, which, regardless of that outcome, if that ends up being the case, will be a really hype one. BKB now online for Faith Beyond. And onto the high ground, potentially we go here soon for LGD. Swiftlink next on the list for Ame's Ursa. So you can see, still not a whole lot of building damage, but they can kill heroes like none other, Cinderin.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a solution right now for T1 for how to approach a fight. So since they can't deal damage to the BKBs, you need a way to poke these 3 BKBs the enemy cores have, reset, and then re-go. I think it's going to have to come down to some sort of crazy static storm that they get set up through maybe an Ag Storm Vortex.
Oh, the jump in.
They'll get that one.
They'll find one. It's been 10 minutes since he died, apparently.
Yep.
So it was
we reset
time.
the counter.
Something good happened for T1. They
when
did
T1killlast.com. The clock is now 0.
Oh, Carl, relocate is coming, but he's going to zip away. Zephyr probably not going to be so lucky. He gets whipped into oblivion, and the bash ensures the kill for Ame.
Gonna be relocated back here to the mid lane. Clean up some illusions.
You know what they could use is a leveler.
True.
Will that drop? That might be the best item to get for PSG.LGD right now.
Up to the high ground.
Indeed. Spectral Dagger with the Gale. Ursa doesn't care.
Skewer.
The Skewer in from Faith Beyond, and that's going to be a freebie for the kill on Cuckoo. Does have buyback. I don't even know. Have we seen Poison Nova this game? Have you
I don't
noticed?
think it's been cast.
That's... Wow. Unreal.
I'm glad we theory crafted whether it's better than before.
Right now it's the same, I guess.
Yeah.
Ame, it looks like they'll get this Rax, and T1, without the Elder Titan, this will be difficult to defend, even with...
Oh, the tether!
All right. Tether stun comes through with the bash. Carl takes the tumble. So that's the shard online for the IO.
Oh,
that is truly unfortunate. Earth Splitter comes inside the Static Storm, but the bash inside as well. It's enraged with the BKB. Ame super healthy. Just gonna focus on the buildings now. That is very unfortunate for T1. Great pickup by Jinkyu. There's the Searing Chains. All right, into the Skewer. This is going to be a dieback for Cuckoo. And LGD absolutely crushing their way to a Game 3 victory here. 5 versus 3. As we see the Shadow Step come out as well, but Zephyr is dead. Still has buyback. And now more buildings to go for LGD. 45 seconds with the Aegis. And again, their building damage is quite bad, but there, again, the Skewer with the Horn Toss setup. Do they have enough to actually take out 23 Savage? Indeed. He does have buyback as well, though.
Faith Bell will be fully healed by the cheese as well, so... It almost looks like PSG.LGD haven't even been fighting yet. They have full resources on every hero except Lion, missing a little bit of mana, pretty much.
And that is 2 full sets of racks down.
Are we approaching the top half?
This is maybe mustache level.
Mustache level.
Yeah, this is mustache level. I mean, they do have 9 kills, so...
Notice the voice chat line being used by Cuckoo there. Nothing touches the heart like my Venom. Arguably, your Venom doesn't touch anything, rather.
Yeah, I would like to see the Poison Nova used at least.
One Poison Nova before it's over, please.
Yes,
Let's go.
To jump in. Io's taking a lot of damage, but they're turning it on to Carl instead. He pops BKB, zips away to safety. Nothing to say, trying to pursue. Meanwhile, Ursa just eating everybody alive. GG is called. Poison Nova not cast, Cinderella. LGD take Game 3 in very, very convincing fashion. And this is the team that we've been seeing throughout the entire group stage and now in the main event.
Yeah, when LGD are on, they're on, man. That was just not even close. Like, T1, they had to try to find some earlier fights to get value out of their Venom, but it was just PSG.LGD making all of the good early moves, finding the picks. Especially nothing to say on the Ember, just set the entire tempo for the game.
Right.
His triple kill bottom is really what just opened up the map for them. And he took that advantage and just took it all the way to the bank. So top 6 now secured for PSG.LGD. Like you said, they're going to be facing the winner of VP and VG Gaming.
Yep.
And now T1 dropped down to face Alliance, I believe, tomorrow.
Sure, we'll pretend that you're correct on that. I don't know why you would say
Always
something
right.
you're not 100% sure about. You should preface that you're not sure about it ahead of
Tomorrow
time.
or the day after.
Either way, they'll face Alliance at some point in the tournament. Could be tomorrow indeed, but let's see what the panel has to say about this absolute stomp of a Game 3.
Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, order has been restored by PSG.LGD. I think the second game might have been a little bit of a wake-up call, Howie.
Yeah, I think so. And do I have some time to talk about some nerdy stuff? Because I really want to talk about something that happened in that game.
You can, you can. By the way, we are live.
Okay.
Yeah, you are allowed.
Okay.
Nerd out, my friend.
When Nothing to Say went for the Remnant bottom, what he did was he sent out 1 Remnant, and he did like an option select. Because what worse Ember players will do, well, they'll throw all 3 Remnants. But what he did is he sent out his Remnant, and he put down more Remnants while he is activating it. And how it works is you can only cast spells to the right of yourself because you're facing that way while you're in Remnant. So if you try to like Meteor Hammer, you can only do it to the right of yourself. I thought that was such a cool heads-up play by Nothing to Say because he really shined this game. Like everything around LGD, he had late pick, but he picked himself into sort of a lane counter pick. They made up for it with Lion rotating, and he immediately gave back to his team with that resource he was given. And I think that's what made LGD super cool with this game.
nothing to say. Jenkins, you were particularly impressed with him because the lanes were pretty much won totally by him. Or at least he had a lot of impact.
Yeah, well, actually, I mean, you could argue that the rotation from Lion towards the mid lane, I mean, obviously that does help out. That is an LGD thing. They do that a lot, these like super early rotations, pre-5-minute rotations. But then immediately, there's this huge play by T1 bot, and I was thinking, like, this is a really good play by them, genuinely. They showed up with, like, Storm Spirit, they baited in onto Cuckoo, but then nothing to say is just like, well, you know, I'm super high-level mid, I'm coming in. He did the Remnant play that Aoi was talking about, where he gave himself this option to potentially burst. It turned out it was a good burst situation, and he gets a triple kill. And then the whole game from then on, it basically meant that Ursa and Magnus could just run around farming together as two, while Ember and Io just ran around killing everybody. Ember's the type of hero that when you pop off, you can like legit 1v5 with just a little bit of help. And when it's an amplifying hero like Io, well, you take this hero that can 1v5, then a hero that amplifies that, and you can 1v10 at that point.
Tsunami, LGD, looking like the best team in the world, so.
Yeah, and I think T1 actually did push them to the limit, actually. I think them being so stompy in this game, I don't think they wanted to have to show nothing to say Ember in this good of a form. They played him twice during the group stage, but it wasn't like, as AUI like to call it, a Siggy. It was a Siggy for him, a signature hero on occasion during the DPC, but now you've exposed it on the main stage. Everyone's watching these games because there's nothing else going on. There are 4 group stage games. You can't focus on it all, but here, one day maybe there'll be a crowd watching it as well, but every other team is keeping their eye on it right now. And now they're like, we can't let him get last pick Ember, especially if we don't have any disables.
Yeah.
Well, if you did miss the first game of the day, we've got a couple of highlights from it to talk about now. The first one being Snapfire and the double cookie. Tsunami, talk us through what's going on here.
Oh my god, Xingqiu is a surgeon on this hero. Every single time, it's not even just like his cookie placement. He will get the shard and he will get multi-hero stuns on that Scatterblast every single time. And this is them just dancing around 23 Savage's Morphling in this first game, which this was the most competitive game of the entire series, I think. The second one was great with all the 10 diebacks, but it was game 1 that really showed that T1 was ready to show up in this series.
Oh, this is the game too. This is the 10 buyback team fight. There were so many team fights. It's quite hard to keep up.
Which 10 buyback team fight? There was a few of them at that point. Was it the one where there were 4 items on the ground in Roshan and an Aegis snatch?
10 buyback team fights at the International 10. It turns out they're like buses. They all just turn up in the same series. So it's hard to tell which one was which, to be honest. But what a series. Okay, yes. Now looking at your Tasha, I'm reminded that this was...
It was a mustache level performance, I'm being told. There was a power tier ranking that they made during the NADPC. I'm only privy to it. I don't have a top hat. Hopefully we don't see a top hat at this event because that is a very one-sided event, and hopefully we're getting all those out of the way now so we can all be very competitive moving forward.
Really, really, really quickly. Explain the tiers of the shellacking space.
Oh God, we've made a video about this.
Did you really?
Dota Cinema refused to put it on their channel.
Okay.
All right, okay, so basically, Gaben level shellacking, that is a shellacking. Then mustache level shellacking.
And then top hat level shellacking. But there are many tiers below that. And Sunsfan and I actually had a talk with the Shellacking Council previous to this event, and we didn't think there was going to be any Gaben level shellackings or above because this is TI. It's so competitive after this year's DPC especially, but here we are. I mean, if it's any team that's going to get a Gaben's top hat, a Gaben's mustache, it is definitely LGD.
I've never seen Gaben in a top hat.
Well, it's because, it's TI and there's no shellackings happening around here, so.
All right, well, we have got Sir Action Slacks standing on the sidelines right now, or even sitting because we like to keep it cozy here at TI10. So let's find out what he had to say to why.
Absolutely, like keeping it cozy too. We have Y, one of the greatest in the world, and also Helen, who is also one of the greatest translators in the world. So good to have you both here. Thank you for joining us. All right, so where is the Pudge Techies? I don't want to talk about the game, all right? I want that Pudge Techies. Faith Beyond is letting me down here.
他说你们让他很失望，非边疆也让他很失望，屠夫还有炸弹人都在哪儿呢？
可能在观众的心里吧，我们还在查。
Well, maybe it's in the viewers' hearts.
Well, I hope so. I know it's in my heart. That's why it hurts so much. But what about Oracle? That's your favorite. We haven't seen any of that either.
他也好伤心。那神谕者呢？他不是你最喜欢的英雄吗？
可能 T1 的打法不太适合让这个英雄上场吧。
What thing 的呢开玩笑的。Anyway, I just said I understood him, and then I was joking, and I absolutely do not. So anyway, as we go on. So you guys enter this tournament, right, as the favorites. Nobody seems to be able to defeat you. But are you playing your own game, or are you kind of preparing against the other teams?
就进入这个比赛，小组赛期间也没怎么失利过。你做为这个比赛，做这个准备，做了哪些准备呢？
是对打 T1 做了哪些准备是吗
？Preparations against T1?
Against all teams, I mean, or do they just ignore the other teams?
所有队伍就是你们是有自己的打法，还是会根据对方的打法去调整呢？
应该还是会根据对方就是不同的队伍打不同的打法吧。就好比我们今天打 T1 也是在中途改变了过打法的。
Depending on who we're against, we'll actually adjust how we play. Specifically against T1, we actually did adjust our play style a little bit. And in terms of Oracle, he said that maybe T1 style doesn't allow him to pick that hero.
Very good. So, I forgot. Yes, that's right, my friend. I forgot again. Yeah. Yes, the 10 buybacks. Game 2. I want to know what your reaction was to that crazy moment.
第二盘10人买活，你那一刻心里想的是什么？
那一刻就当时肯定觉得那是一波很好的机会嘛，因为当时我们已经劣势很大了，想就是都10人买活，看还有没有机会靠那一波翻盘，就是比较激动吧。
We're a bit excited actually because at that moment we actually thought of it as a chance. We were already at quite a big disadvantage, so we wanted to see it as a chance for us.
Chance didn't pay out though. Would you have done it any differently?
那个机会并没有很好的后果。如果再来一次的话，会不会有其他的决定呢？
应该在那个局势下面应该没有太大的办法了，因为当时我们已经很劣了，然后对面都是刷新的情况，我们在那一波找到比较好的机会，骗出很多，所以想靠那一波，如果再来一次，可能只能靠我们临场更细的东西，也许能赢吧。当然也是会打那一波。
I think if we had to do it all over again, we would still take chance because we did bait out a lot of skills already, and they had refreshers. So if we were to do it again, maybe we'll play even more detailed and try to win through that.
All right. Almost done. Any thoughts on yesterday? An unfortunate day for Chinese Dota. What did you think about your comrades?
其实昨天很遗憾的有2支中国队伍离开了舞台，你对这个有什么看法或者想说的吗？
肯定是首先比较难受的吧，然后因为可能各方面吧已经太久没有线下赛，所以而且再加上是 BOE 吧，所以很多方面很难发挥出来。总之就也不知道说什么，就是比较难受吧。
I feel a bit sad, but due to all sorts of reasons, because we haven't had a LAN in so long, and there are other reasons to why they didn't perform to their best, all I can say is that I feel a little sad about it.
Yeah, well, I agree. I feel sad too about it. Those were some good teams, legends. Okay, final question for you. You guys had almost 0 losses in this entire thing. Only Secret and T1 have pulled a game from you. Are you afraid of any team at this tournament?
最后一个问题，整个比赛当中，只有 Secret 还有 T 赢过你们，你们有没有自己比较害怕的队伍呢？
肯定更加的害怕是自己临场上的东西吧。然后尽管就是不同的队伍在面对不同队伍的时候，总是如果我们输掉了很多东西，都是能收获很多的，所以也比较感谢 T1 跟 Secret 吧。
Well, if we lose, it's a lot of a lot of it is to ourselves, not performing at our top notch. However, with every loss, we do gain experience. So thanks to T1 and Secret.
Okay, well, what a dignified answer. Thank you so much, Y. It's no wonder that you guys are on such an amazing spree, and I'm sure we will be seeing some more winners interviews with you two coming up soon. But for now, back to you.